I've seen so many people try to emulate other people, and like you said with that authenticity thing, just not be themselves. Like just be really true to yourself and who you want to be in the firm that you want to create. Just because somebody says fixed fees are the best or this investment strategy is the best, you've got to do it that way. If that's not right for you, it's not right for you. Like, do the thing your own way. And like I said before, always learning. Just try and pick up stuff where you can, when you can, and when you stop, please retire. Like, let somebody else do it.
Welcome to episode 67 of the Innovating Advice Show. I'm joined by Rohan Sivajoti in the UK, who is a natural inventor and creator and puts that energy into continually improving the financial planning profession. Rohan is a co-founder of NextGen Planners, and we chat about a few of their upcoming initiatives that will be of interest to many of you. Plus, we chat about what it means to be a NextGen planner and how it's about mindset over age. Rohan is also the founder of Postcard Planning, where he's developed a really cool brand that has turned his clients into ambassadors for the business while they're on holiday. And finally, we chat about making it through the tough times in life, and Rohan shares why it's beneficial to talk with a loose acquaintance. Links, transcript, and timestamps at innovatingadvice.com or directly through the link below. You're listening to the Innovating Advice Show, and I'm your host, Kate Holmes, bringing you the global pulse on financial services innovation, featuring financial planners, financial advisors, and related professionals from all corners of the globe. Let's dive in. Hi, Rohan. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Kate. How are you?
I am good. So you are the other half of the two grumpy Northerners. We had the first half, the other half, the better half. I don't know. We can chat about that. Adam Carolan back on episode 15.
Okay. If you're talking dress sense, it's definitely not better half. He dresses like my granddad, but in terms of intelligence, the like, I will give him that. He is the better half.
Oh,
definitely.
That's awesome. So, would you still say you're grumpy?
No. So this is another thing. He's grumpy. We've met a few times, Kate. Have you ever known me to be grumpy?
No.
I'm not one of life's grumpy people, so I'm trying to shake that tag. I think it's something that he's tarnished me with. So it's something that it's one of the things that sort of comes with NextGen. So I'm just gonna have to roll with it for now.
Yeah. Well, we'll be chatting a lot about sort of the transition from grumpy to excited. I think you've always been excited, but we've got a lot of great stuff to chat about. And let's dive in and talk about NextGen Planners. So episode 15 was a long time ago. And if not everyone caught that episode, just tell us a little about NextGen Planners and how it got started.
Cool, yeah. So the starting thing was I was running an IFA practice, and I was going to various events and all the rest of it, and being in the room with people who I didn't really recognize, in all honesty, people that I couldn't see myself working with, and hearing things. I remember standing in one specific example, standing in queue for a bacon sandwich, with two guys in front of me, talking about, well, yeah, food was the conversation, not so much. They were sort of talking about how they'd just done a £450,000 investment bond and taken 7.5% upfront fee and all this, and it was like they were like bragging to each other about it. And I was just like, these are not the kind of people that I want to hang out with. These are not, in my eyes, professionals. And basically, I thought that I needed to create the place where these people hang out, because I couldn't find where they hang out. So me and Adam had a little chat. We said, well, let's just start a little group. We have a napkin. We had a napkin in a pub. We wrote down a few rules on the back of this napkin, and we still have that napkin to this day. And we put pictures of it up at our conference and all that kind of thing, which is quite cool. Yeah. And it was just basically grown arms and legs from there. We had no real plans for it. We just had this little collection of people who we thought were cool and we could bounce ideas off. And that's, morphed into today, I guess, over 350 now paying members all over the UK and across the globe as well. So, yeah, cool.
That's awesome. And what year was that conversation in that pub?
That was in late 2016, I believe. Yeah, early 2017, something like that. So a few years back.
Yeah. So what were those rules that you had on there?
I won't swear, but there was a there was a no beep on there, so none of those kind of people that we don't like. What else was there? Pay it forward was the main one. So we both had this thing where we feel like you want to leave the profession in a better state than when you came into it. And for any conversation that you have with anybody, if you can pay something forward and add a tiny bit of value, then that snowballs and it all adds up. So pay it forward is the message that, you know, we still run with to this day. And we all have our duty to our peers, to society. And if you're privileged enough to be in that position to do so, then pay it forward.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking about some of the great initiatives that you guys have. And just think on that first one, and you and I were kind of chatting before the show a little bit about, you know, not attracting the wrong people, but we also have this obligation to show people that there's this whole other side of the industry and profession. And I think so often, you know, and we even talk amongst ourselves, like we're kind of in this one bucket of people that are super forward thinking and, you know, are all about doing right by the clients and aren't just driven by profits. It's really people over profits. But not a lot of people know that even exists. So everyone's kind of in their own echo chamber. How do we get a bit more crossover with that?
Totally with you on that. So, you know, like if you look on your Twitter feed or your LinkedIn feed or whatever, there's all these great people doing great things. And you think, why doesn't everybody love financial advisors? Why don't you love financial planners? I mean, look at all these great guys giving away free things, doing great stuff. And it's really difficult to remember that the majority of the people, I guess, even listening to this, we're in the minority. That from my days of working in investment sales, that kind of thing, going and seeing loads of different firms, the vast majority are nothing like us. The vast majority are still sort of in that product world and selling and like, you know, really hard sale. Here's a product, see you later, sort of thing. And I think, you know, the way that we sort of break that down and the way we've done it with NextGen is try to give bits away for free, first of all, so within the profession, but also create products and solutions that are applicable to those people too. And it's almost like a bit of an infiltration way in. So we create like a training contract, which we have firms that use, like that train people up. But some of those firms are not what we would consider, I guess, next gen firms or whatever. But it's just a really good product for them to use in their business and for them to upscale and all the rest of it, because they still want to grow like everybody else. And that's our kind of way, I guess, of infiltrating a bit and trying to make a little bit of difference, do loads of events, all that kind of thing. But yeah, long way to go, but we will get there.
It is. And we still always have to remember we're a very, very young profession. And then, you know, a very, very young side of sort of this new, more forward-thinking, more innovative approach to things. So time makes everything happen. It might take longer than you and I will be alive, but yeah, I think
we talked about this the other day, Kate. We had like a board strategy day, and what is it now? So Adam Owen's moved. He won't mind me saying, has moved into. He's in his 40s. Adam Carolan's in the later end of the 30s. I've just turned 34. And we're sort of like, we're custodians of NextGen for now, but we kind of can't be forever, can we? We're going to have to hand the mantle on to somebody else, because I guess we're all getting on. So sadly,
we are. And I actually was going to ask you that. How do we now define next gen? Because I'm still getting requests to talk on topics of like, you know, working with millennials. And I was like, do most people realize that millennials are now like getting into their 40s, and millennials are not the young whippersnappers that are, you know, just entering university. It's like we're all getting older. And I aged out of next gen in the US. I don't know, a couple of years ago. I just turned 37. So I was thinking about that. I was like, all right, we're still talking about next gen. Does it move with us? Do we need to keep it?
So this is a really interesting thing. And a lot of people who've approached us have sort of said, oh, next gen's not for me, it's for the young ones, isn't it? And we're always of the opinion of it's a mindset, not an age.
Yes.
Like it is exactly that. If you're willing to learn, we have this always learning thing that goes out on a lot of our comms, because you should be always learning. And that's what you sort of feel, I guess. And as soon as you stop doing that, I think that's when it's either time to retire or do something else. Like you should always be adding to your learnings. If you've got that kind of mindset, we like to say you're kind of next gen. if you're happy bobbing and floating and all the rest of it. Remember, the worst things in life bob and float, don't they? So like, I guess it's just one of those things where it's definitely mindset over age. I mean, who are we to group people by the year that they popped out of their mother? That's just not a thing, we feel. So it's, hey, look, everybody's completely different in that respect. So respect the mindset and not the age.
Good. I totally agree with that. And that's why I named my business in the podcast Innovating Advice, because I was like, look, we should all be innovating always. If we didn't, the world would stand still. We'd all still be riding horse carriages and writing with fountain pens, which might give me much better handwriting than I currently have. But I'm glad that I can just type out all my messages and not have to write anything down.
So I heard a thing once that bad handwriting is a sign of intelligence, though, Kate. So stick to that.
I am super intelligent.
Because that's what I stick to as well. Because mine looks like I've just mashed a few spiders on a piece of paper. So yeah, awful stuff.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I did take notes when you and I chatted last week, and then I was looking over them this morning, and I was like, wow, I have no idea what that says. All right, so let's dive into some of the great stuff happening at NextGen. And I want to start with something that is applicable to people all over the world. And I know, as you mentioned, NextGen works with people all over the world, but you've got this great speaker training coming up that is open to people specifically in the UK, South Africa, Australia, and the US, kicking off in January. Yeah.
So first thing to say is it's free, right? That's the first thing to say. Because like before I talk about it and people go, how much is it? It's free, right? So this is born out of our conference last year. We sat down as a board and decided that a lot of the events we go to, the speakers are the same. It's the same faces, and I'm guessing it could be the same in the States as well.
Yeah.
And if we're going to truly change the profession and, like we said, infiltrate into other areas of financial services so that people are talking at different events that we would usually talk at, etc., then we need to create those speakers. We need to create those and give them the platform to be able to do that. So we took 30 people from our membership and we put them through a speaker and influence program for 6 months. So this was completely free, and it's run by Adam Owen on our board, who's super, and a guy called Dominic Colenso, who played Virgil in the Thunderbirds movie, right? He's just an awesome speaker, coach, all that kind of thing. I'll declare massive conflict of interest here. He's one of my clients, okay? So that is my conflict of interest there, but he is awesome. Like Dom and Adam took these people from our membership and basically they delivered our conference. So instead of us going out and paying external speakers or bringing people in or that kind of thing, we sort of said, look, it's time for the members to deliver the conference. It's content that people won't have seen before. We invited loads of events managers to come along and said, look, for the next 5-10 years, we think these are the guys who are going to be delivering content within financial services. So come and see them and start booking them. And there were 30 people doing a 10-minute talk each. So like the kind of TED format, that kind of thing. And I don't know, I have this real preference for shorter talks anyway, because people get their message across. There's no waffle in the middle or stretching out the time or that kind of thing. They're just getting to the point, getting that message across. And it works so well. I mean, some of the people in there from all sorts of backgrounds, as young as 20, delivering stuff, never publicly spoken before, some of them, and just absolutely smashed it. It was so cool. Now, for 2020, because it went so well, what we've decided is 30 is not enough. One country is not enough. So we're going to 3 more, another 30 in each, and I should say as well, gender balance 50-50 as well. So we're going to be delivering a global financial conference across 30 from the USA, 30 from the UK, 30 from Australia, and 30 from South Africa as well. There will be virtual conferences from 3 of those places, and there'll be a live one in the UK as well. So we'll actually get people together in the UK, COVID permitting, right? So, look, we're bringing the program for free. Like that speaker and influence program is going to be available to everybody in all of those territories. So we would ask you to get in touch with us. And if you want to go through that awesome program, deliver 10 minutes of content, potentially get yourself booked on international speaking gigs, all that kind of thing. Go for it. It's awesome.
Rohan, I love that. And that's something I'm with you. And that's actually what got me into public speaking. I mean, I did a lot as a kid. I was a drama kid, but it was going to these conferences and exactly what I said, seeing the same people over and over. And also seeing a lot of speakers that were not energetic, that were completely monotone, that just read verbatim bullet points from their slides. And I was like, I just paid how much and took multiple days off work and flew here. And, this is the content we're getting. It was just maddening. So what a great way to also help pass that torch to the next generation. Again, the next gen mindset. Who wants to try something new, to upskill in an area that will also help them in those client engagements. The fact you guys are doing that for free across 4 countries, that just speaks so highly of what NextGen is building and how you're helping the next generation.
Exactly, eh?
Yeah.
Clues in the name.
Okay, so you've also got this Blastoff course. Love the name of that. I'd like to blast off. So first of all, what inspired the course?
So this is cool because we're actually recording this on the day that we just pressed live with all the details. That's good, isn't it?
Yes.
Blastoff. So Blastoff was inspired initially by my own story, which was I set up a regulated firm at 28 and basically just went and did it. I'd done a bit in like working for companies like Vanguard and people like that, like in investment sales and knocking on advisors' doors and saying, hey, being the relationship guy, all that kind of stuff. And kind of noticed that a lot of the people that I knocked on or spoke to, I wouldn't give my money to.
Yeah.
There was a handful of them. As we sort of said before, the echo chamber kind of people were the good ones. The majority were not so great. And something that my dad said to me, probably the best piece of advice he ever gave to me, and it's always stuck with me, is because in school, basically, I was always trying to invent stuff. I was like, yeah, I want to be an inventor. I want to just come up with stupid ideas, right? And the best piece of advice he ever gave me, it still sticks with me, is you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just do something better than someone else. And it was absolutely that. I was like,
yes.
I'm 28. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I think I can do it better than a lot of these people that I've spoken to. So went and set up my own firm, but I basically had a really good compliance consultant, and I'll shout out Karen. She's amazing. Because she's still my compliance consultant now. And with that, just her and me, and went for it. And I had nowhere to go. I had nobody to turn to. I had no community. There were no real decent communities then. There was no help with this kind of stuff, nothing. And just through being, creating NextGen, going through that experience, everything else, and talking to people day to day from the membership, it's something that's still a problem now. People, I don't believe have that confidence to just jump and do it alone. I'm quite a big risk taker. That's why I did it. But I think it holds some people back. And we wanted to create this course, Blastoff, to basically allow people to do that. So to give them all the tools and everything they need to go out and launch a firm. But also massive focus when we looked at the market and we looked at the consultancy offerings, with huge focus on the entrepreneur themselves. Because a lot of what we looked at, that was just on the business. It was just on, here's how to do a marketing strategy, here's how to do this, etc., which it all does. But there was no how to come over imposter syndrome, how to kill your nerves, how to do all that, how to pitch, anything like that. So we're going to be teaching people all of those skills as well. So that throughout the 12-month program, they'll hopefully see an awesome business launch, be in a massively better place with their own firm, but also just become better people throughout the 12-month thing, have more confidence, and basically create better firms, better entrepreneurs. So that's the idea.
That's awesome. So 12 months. And this is sort of the first one. So there are only, 15 people allowed in this course?
Yeah, we might max it at 12, actually. Because I don't know, it's to be decided. I've got some issues in terms of my own time, I guess, and commitment to it. But so I think it might actually end up being 12 that it's capped at, as a sort of proof of concept kind of thing to start with. Then if it goes well, we may ramp it up. But we're keeping them intentionally low because you want to do it justice, right? If I'm taking 25, 30 people through that, it's I don't think that they're getting as good a quality as they would do otherwise.
Yeah. But I can definitely see that being something that does ramp up, because that's a conversation I have with a lot of advisors and planners is kind of, hey, I think in the next year or two, and being planners, trying to plan ahead and thinking, hey, I'm going to make sure I've got my own savings set aside and I'm doing this properly. But there isn't that blueprint. There are organizations and membership associations around the world that will provide that community, and other ones that will provide a tech stack. But what you're building, and I love that focus on the entrepreneur, on that person, because I've started a couple businesses and I know imposter syndrome well, and it's so hard to know, what do you say yes to, what do you say no to, how do you figure out where you need to focus your time and energy so that you don't just burn out.
Mm-hmm. Totally, and it's all learned experience, and it isn't just my experience, it's the rest of the board delivering it too. But I think we give it real credence in that we've been there, seen it, and done it. Like, this is what we've done, and it's almost like a memoir, isn't it? Like, this is what we've done, and here is what we've learned from it. And learn that stuff. So we always have a thing. We never tell people how they should do things. I think everybody's adult enough, grown up enough to decide their own way. We're not going to tell people how they should do things, but we can help to give people the available skills, knowledge, and everything they need to make their own decisions. So it's very much coaching. It's very much letting people go their own way. Because who are we to tell people how to run their businesses? Quite simply, just we're not.
But you can definitely tell them some of those lessons learned. So I know in the beginning of your business, you did say yes to everything.
Everything, yeah. So we had a bit of a chat about this, didn't we, offline?
Yeah.
Which was, so there's this really common thing out there that I completely disagree with, which is this whole thing of say no to loads of stuff. You have to say no to loads of stuff to be successful, whichever else. I get it to an extent, but when you're first starting out, as I did at 28, with no clients, no money, no recurring income, not a thing, no leads, nothing, I said yes to everything, right? And when I say that, there's this great book called Yes Man. I don't know if you've ever read it. It's amazing. By a guy called Danny Wallace. It's so cool. And then it's been turned into a film and stuff, right, with Jim Carrey, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it wasn't so much that I only discovered that book afterwards, actually. And I was like, I kind of realized that's what I've been doing. But I thought that, okay, if I've got nothing, then I need to create communities, networks, whatever I do. And I just need to say yes to loads of stuff. So it was a bit of a stranger to the other half at the time, and just sort of disappeared off the face of the earth. Went to every networking event I could. If there was a friend who said, do you want to come for a pint in the pub, and you're a bit tired and you didn't really fancy it, you'd go, because you don't know where that sort of conversation would end. And saying yes to loads of stuff is activity, and activity does bring some results. The saying no to stuff comes later, I think, once you've had an element of success and you can put food on the table and that kind of thing. My advice to tons of people who are starting out with nothing is say yes. Like, say yes to loads of stuff. And it's that, some of that, I tend to find that wisdom of saying no, wisdom in big inverted commas there, of saying no, that people tend to talk about, tends to come from people who are currently very successful and very comfortable in their lives. So I just think it's important, especially at the start, to say yes.
Yeah, and I said yes to everything as well. And then it was probably I did that for about 2 years. And then I started to identify the things that were actually detracting from my business and the things that I really didn't enjoy. And then after that, I spent an entire year, I call it my year of learning the art of saying no. And it's not that I was wildly successful at the time, but it was that I was identifying the things that were actually holding me back from becoming successful, which became really interesting. Just projects that just drained me. I was like, I don't get fulfillment out of this. I don't feel good after it. I'm like, even if it's a client that's paying, on a consulting thing or whatever, just those things that drain you. It is like having a bad client, right? The clients that you see the phone ring, or you see the email come in, and you're like, oh, I don't want to deal with this. And then you start to pare back. So it's an interesting lesson, but you're not going to figure those things out unless you spend that time saying yes to everything.
Totally. It's all a big lesson, isn't it?
Yeah.
Big lesson. Yeah.
So speaking of, you started that business at 28. That's Postcard Planning, correct?
It is. Yeah. So postcards, basics, I couldn't think of anything else to call it, is probably the honest reason. But no, so postcards, I like to think, obviously postcards are something that you send to share a nice moment with loved ones. And we really like that concept, in that you're essentially reaching out to people that matter most and telling them about something that you're enjoying. So we have a really big thing with clients where we kind of talk about last conversations with family members before them passing away and whatever else, and wishing that they'd had those conversations or said those things. And we encourage clients basically to reach out more to their own family, and spend more time with family. So yeah, I think this got us on to talking about some of the other stuff. So obviously, like, we have postcards are really cool for marketing as well, right? So we can do tons with a postcard. So our brand's all really cool and that kind of thing. We have had people think we're a holiday company. That does happen. That's okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
I have to deal with that. That's all right. I'm not a travel agent. But we do play up to it a bit. So we have things like travel consultants for clients, that they can use and that kind of stuff. But yeah, we spoke about the beach towels, right? Didn't we?
Yes, that's the thing. The marketing and branding around that, and I love what you've done with the beach towels. Yeah,
so I've got there. I'm sure it's in a marketing book somewhere, right? But it's my own little epiphany until I read it somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, which is that, people like brand stuff up all the time, and whichever else put their financial planning brand on it and stuff like that. And if it's like a t-shirt or something, I bet a client gets it and like, oh great, yeah, thanks. That's just gonna be pajamas, isn't it, at best?
Yeah.
You're not gonna get your brand out there somewhere, right? So I just kind of was looking around my desk one day and thinking, if I have my brand on any of these things, do I care? So like, I was looking at like my stapler and I was like, do I care if my stapler is a Staedtler or a whatever, like a premium brand? I don't care at all. So that could be branded, right? And it got me thinking to things that people don't really care if they've got a Versace one or a Gucci one or whatever it is. And one of them was beach towels. So I don't think people really care about their beach towels. So we basically emblazoned our massive logo, Postcard Planning, on these beach towels with the stamp bit on the outside. So it looks like a big giant stamp. And obviously we meet with clients and they say to us, hey, I'm going on this holiday, whatever. We take the note and we don't tell them. We post it out to them just before they're due to go on holiday, a few days before, saying, here's a towel for your travels, enjoy your trip, take a photo with your towel. Yes. Now, at first, when we sent them something saying, take a photo with your towel, I thought that could be misinterpreted in the wrong way by some clients. Now, we are very, very lucky that we haven't had any dodgy photos through, so that's good. But what's been cool is clients have been awesome with it. So they've taken the towel away, and we've got these awesome pictures of them like holding up their towel in front of like wonders of the world, whatever it is. And like we put them into this like collection as well for clients, so they can see like what other clients have done with the help of us and that kind of thing. It's been a really cool marketing piece for us. So before you go on holiday next time, Kate, at some point, you'll have to just casually drop me an email there. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention I'm going on holiday to this place and my address is this. So see you later. Yeah. And you might get a towel.
I would love that. I can't wait till I can go on holiday again. They have all officially been canceled. So I'll be looking forward to that day. But I love that. And that's just such a cool way of, I want to say like subliminal messaging almost, all those social media posts and people are like, oh, what's postcard planning, and drives more traffic to you. That's fantastic.
Exactly. So we've actually picked up clients from it. So, because generally when people are on holiday as well, you get talking to somebody or whatever else. Yeah. And, like there might be a couple you see every day by the pool or whatever. And we have picked up clients off the back of it. So yeah, been cool.
Fantastic. And since you are an inventor and you can't stop inventing new things, you've also got a business adorably called Docvinci. which is another way of kind of helping those in professional services in a way that has needed some innovation.
Yeah, this was something we agreed on as well. So again, a lot of stuff that I do is down to something that's been personal experience and done badly. And then just like thinking back to that mantra from my dad of just do it better.
Yeah.
And one of my frustrations is with agencies in terms of design and marketing and that kind of thing. You generally give them a piece of work, it comes back weeks late, over budget, and the whole experience is just not great. And you're kind of wondering, like, where did my money go for that? So we've just launched a really, really simple business. Me and the guy who works for me, actually. So he's been my right-hand man since pretty much the start. He's somebody who I took sort of fresh out of uni and developed and that kind of thing. He works with me in NextGen and in Postcard and everything.
Awesome.
But basically, he's now 25, but he hasn't run a business before, that kind of thing. So I wanted to utilize his skills, but also give him the chance to run a business. And like with my hand on his shoulder or whichever, and sort of guiding him. So he's got that experience if he wants to go on to do bigger and better things.
Talk about paying it forward.
Yeah, exactly. No, but he's, I just think if people earn these things, and he's totally earned it. He's been absolutely incredible guy. And what we created was a little design agency for financial advisors, accountants, and solicitors specifically, because most pieces of documentation we get from those people are just so dull. They're so boring, like ridiculous. Especially, so I have to explain at this point, because this was another conversation Kate and I had offline, that solicitors means lawyers. Yes. Apparently solicitors mean something very, very different in the US. So
in the US, yeah.
Solicitors means lawyers.
I was reminded the other day, though, that I should have known that from Bridget Jones' diary.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Just in case people think I've got a weird niche here, right? So financial advisors, solicitors, accountants, and it's basically a mini design agency that's £47 an hour. Everything is £47 an hour. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just like, it's time-based, where if you want us to make terms of business better, it's £47 an hour. You fancy a logo doing, it's £47 an hour, whatever it is. But crucially, we're going to tackle those other points. So we're going to give you a date that it's going to be delivered on. And what our clients don't know is that we always deliver it early. So that date is never true. But our clients don't know that until they've experienced it. So and because then it just makes the whole experience better. People know what they're paying for. People are getting their things before they need it, and it's of really good quality. So it's gone down really well, and that's flown out the blocks. So we'll see how that goes.
That's so great, though. From teaching Dan the ropes to the simplicity of the business, taking your dad's advice and just doing something a little better than other people, and having a built-in under promise and over deliver. I mean, that's wrapping up so many wonderful life and business lessons all into one great little business.
Yeah, you learn along the way, don't you? It is. You're absolutely right. I never thought of it until you said it like that. It's just various pieces coming together. And it's working well so far.
So Rohan, you've got all these amazing businesses. You're doing incredible stuff. If people could travel, clients with their postcard planning beach towels and everything looking fantastic. It's easy to look and assume your life throughout all of this time has also just been easy breezy. Now I've got beautiful cover art stuck in my head.
So I've spoken about this at a couple of events and things like that. That basically the first 32 years of my life were idyllic, like the best ever. My family are incredible, come from an amazing family, loads of support, had everything I've ever wanted. And touch wood, nothing ever went wrong, like literally nothing. Just been so blessed. And then things like unraveled for a little period, whereby fortunately went through a divorce, and my girlfriend got cancer last year, and just various things happened that kind of tipped me a bit, I guess, and led me to a place where perhaps mentally I wasn't as on it as I should have been. I don't mind saying I was in a pretty dark place at times, and we sort of spoke about this off air in terms of like, you need that. You absolutely need that. And I totally needed that. In a way that I'd like, those things are tragic. Like, there's tragedies, they're awful things. I'm delighted to say that my girlfriend's made a full recovery and she's all good now. But they're not, life threatening or life endangering. I'm not having to deal with death or whatever it is. But I think I'm better prepared for those things now, in terms of my mental ability to be able to cope with those things, how to get my head right, and to sort of know the signs of when you're sort of feeling like that. But absolutely, like, it's weird now. I look back on it and wish I'd had a knock earlier in life. I know that's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of, and for those people who are listening who perhaps haven't had a knock yet, when it comes, acknowledge that it's happening and kind of acknowledge that actually this is a good thing. It's going to teach you some skills to get over more things in the future. There's something that I highly recommend to everybody, which if you're experiencing grief or not, is the Kubler-Ross cycle. Have a look at that. It talks about the 5 different stages of grief. It's really useful with clients as well to understand the kind of things that they're going through when they go through tragedy and that kind of thing. But my behaviours almost modelled that to perfection. Like, it's such a good model. And once I'd looked at it after I was like, yeah, I could see when I was in that stage. I could see when I was in that stage, etc., etc. But and I always say on every time I'm talking about this or whatever as well, is that actually one of the things that I deal with, the way that helps me deal with best, is talking to a stranger. So I don't mean like going down your street and saying, "Hello, mate, can I just have a word?" and like telling them your life story, right? What I mean is talking to somebody who is not a friend or family, but is kind of like a loose association. So what you tend to get from friends and family is a really biased opinion of things and just agreement, really. So if you say something, they go, "Oh yeah, oh absolutely, yeah, oh totally, God, I'm totally with you on that," which is good and it's supportive, but it's not really helpful. But what is helpful is somebody who's removed from the situation and can look at it through a slightly different lens. So there's a couple of people in financial services in the UK basically who I sort of loosely knew, and we somehow got onto chatting one day, and they've ended up becoming really good friends now. But like, we have our own little WhatsApp group and that kind of stuff where we just, like, between the 3 of us, just all talk and whatever else.
That's great.
And it's those people that sort of really, really help you get through. Actually, it's people that can look at it objective without the rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that and for being open. I just think it's so important as people, look, and I still struggle with this sometimes, seeing people that you're like, oh, they're winning awards and they're speaking at all the conferences and they're doing all these great things. And I'm like, I am having a crap day and I'm just binging Netflix today. You don't always realize, much as we know it, but it's hard to realize, hey, everyone, no matter how great their life looks on social media or awards are winning or, assets they're accumulating, if you're still on that side of the business, that everyone goes through stuff, and realizing that we're all human, and whether it's connecting with other planners to share that or with your clients to share that, just thank you for sharing and being vulnerable and open about that.
That's all right. It's cool. You're absolutely right. We're all human. We all have our battles, don't we? Everybody's battles are different. It's not a competition of whose is bigger than whose, and I know that there are people who have far bigger ones than me, but and I should say as well, because I say to everybody at any time, that stranger thing applies to me here. If this is the first time you've heard me talk, like, hello, like, I'm now not a complete stranger to you. Like, if something's up, like, reach out, like, say hello, like, talk, especially men, actually, because men don't talk about this stuff as much as women do. There's tons of statistics around that. Like, reach out. I've always got time for absolutely everybody. No matter what it is, no matter how big or small you think it is, reach out. Because that's what you say in the States. Reach out.
Yes, I suppose we do. Awesome. Rohan, thank you for everything you're doing for NextGen Planners, those with the NextGen mindset. If you're still I don't know, I'll say on the dark side of the industry and want to come over to the light side. There's a great, big, energetic community here doing really amazing things. Any final words of advice for all those next geners out there?
Yeah, there's this massive thing in go your own way, I think. I've seen so many people try to emulate other people. And like you said, with that authenticity thing, just not be themselves. Like just be really true to yourself and who you want to be in the firm that you want to create. Just because somebody says fixed fees are the best or this investment strategy is the best, you've got to do it that way. If that's not right for you, it's not right for you. Like, do the thing your own way. And like I said before, always learning. Just try and pick up stuff where you can, when you can, and when you stop, please retire. Like, let somebody else do it.
Yeah.
And do everything with a smile on your face, because life's much more fun. There was this awesome blog, actually. If you go on the NextGen site, there's a blog written by one of our members called Sam Binstead, who talked about, there's a guy called Ben Fogle, this UK adventurer, and he talks about this thing called always look up, which was advice that his mum gave him. Yeah. And he says that this can apply to loads of things in life. So just in general, always look up, always treat people with respect. Even when you're out, don't just look down at your phone, look up. There's like this thing with taxi drivers in New York, apparently, who say they can tell who the tourists are because they're looking up.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Are looking down. And there's this really great piece, like go on the site and read it, about always looking up. And there's always things you can do for other people. There's always things you can do to improve people's lives. So smile and get on with it.
Well, I'll link to that blog post in the show notes as well. And Rohan, you can, keep the title if you want, but I am just not getting any grumpy Northerner feeling out of you. And like you said, all the times we've chatted, I haven't ever gotten it. So it might be one grumpy and one energetic Northerner.
Yes. I'll tell him that. Brilliant. Love it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Nice to speak to you.
Thanks for listening to the Innovating Advice Show. If you're wondering where to start, head to innovatingadvice.com/start for a short video series walking you through 3 steps to identify opportunities for innovation in your financial advice or financial planning business. Again, that's innovatingadvice.com/start.